Hi, I'm Carmen, and I am doing what is an ecosystem video. So, an ecosystem, like the general definition is, it is a system of living things that interact with the non-living parts of their environment. And living things are also called organisms. So like ecosystem is like it can be a small area or like a large area of just living things and non-living things, or like things that aren't alive. They like they interact, and they, for example, like a bee and a flower. So the flower, so if there's a flower and the bee it goes inside the flower and flies around and gets covered in the it gets all the pollen on its fur, and it goes back all the way to the beehive, and all of its fellow bees help the bee get the pollen off of the fur. So that is an example of an ecosystem. But that's one way that it doesn't involve food. But a lot of ecosystems involve like food chains. Like the plant gets water and it grows, and then the herbivores, plants that only eat, no, animals that only eat plants eat the plant, and then the herbivore gets eaten by the carnivore who only eats that, and then eventually like the carnivore will either be like eaten up, but eventually all that thing, the carnivore or whatever has all that stuff inside of him or whatever, will die and will decompose. So that is another ecosystem that does involve food, and a lot of them are like that because a lot of ecosystems are here. Energy moves through the ecosystem by like the life and death cycle. So life, the plant growing, and the herbivore eating it, and carnivore eating the herbivore, and maybe the omnivore eating the carnivore. But that is, and it's also because of a food web. Because the carnivore has to eat the animal and the herbivore has to eat the plants, and so that is like the food web and the life and death cycle, how they go together. Some vocabulary is there are two parts of an ecosystem. The biotic part is made of all of the living organisms, living things like a plant or an animal or a human even, like the bee. And then the abiotic is made of the non-living things like the flower. Well, that is living. So like the pollen. The pollen isn't actually living, but the flower and the bee are. They're both living things. There's a producer, which is the thing that gives like energy to whatever part. So like for example, like a tree could be a producer if it gives energy to different things. Another vocabulary word is habitat, which is where living things live. So it's like where they eat and stuff, or where they are, like maybe like a fish a fish habitat is going to be like a lake or something, or wherever they live, and that would be their habitat. Another word is ecologist, which is like a scientist for ecosystems. They study ecosystems and try and keep them like alive and not like killed out by like global warming or something. Another word is niche, which is like some place that has resources So it's kind of like a habitat, but it's where like organisms can live and eat, and it has all the resources that they need to survive. But two organisms can't live in the same niche for very long because one organism wants all of the resources that this niche has, and this one and the other one wants it too. So either they will like fight it out, they'll fight it out and like raw until one of them like dies or like leaves. Like they can leave one organism if they find like another niche that can give them that has all their resources, and then this one will stay in that niche and keep fighting off whatever other ones try and take their niche, or like this one will start out competing this one like for anything. No, they like tournaments. They don't, but like this one will outcompete, and this one will either just die off because they don't have their resources that they need, or this one will just leave. So all humans and animals need to eat to survive, so they need energy, and energy like flows through an ecosystem. So that is like why it flows through the ecosystem, because all the animals and the plants, they're eating things, and so that makes the ecosystem work, because if the plant didn't eat the water, the plant wouldn't grow, and then the herbivore wouldn't eat that, and then the herbivore would die, and the omnivore or the herbivore or the carnivore wouldn't eat that thing. Can't eat like a dead thing. Can't eat a dead bunny or herbivore, and so then the ecosystem would just stop working. It's like a cycle, so it goes around the whole thing, because when the animal dies and decomposes, it goes into the soil, and a new plant grows up from that. And so it just starts another cycle, and it goes around and around. And if there was no energy flowing in it, energy is like food, and if there wasn't any food, then the ecosystem would just stop.
I need to go to recess, Judy. I'm not at all upset. Keep recording, that's fine. But can you guys get yourselves out when you're done?
Mm-hmm.
For recess? Okay. Please be responsible and good kids.
Yes, sir.
And so energy is the power needed.
Really quick, we have computers during recess.
Except, actually, kids, we lose the card at recess and we switch to the Chromebook card after recess, so it's not that easy. I'm sorry. Chromebooks are required for the Illinois science test.
Energy is the power needed to do work such as staying alive, and so really, and since food is energy, like food is a really big part of ecosystems, but not all ecosystems have to involve food. Plants get the most of their food. Once again, food, energy keeps the ecosystem going.
But I'd like the cart to be ready to go. So, like, make sure if you can try. If you're uploading, you can leave it, go out to recess, but then as soon as you get back in, put it on the cart, okay, kids?
Okay.
Thank you.
And so the ecosystem goes around and around and around, but if without food, then the energy just stops, and then the ecosystem can't go on anymore. So food is a really big part, and plants get most of their food from the sun, water, and carbon dioxide in the air. So the air is also part of ecosystems. It's not just like water and things. So an ecosystem, just to wrap it up, is a system of living things that interact with the non-living parts of their environment. Well, I mean, we will eventually, but you just said come out after you've uploaded your video. So that is my video on what is an ecosystem. It is a system of living things that interact with the non-living parts of their environment. Bye.